What if the first signs of dementia weren't about forgetting things? What if it began with slight, unusual shifts in someone's personality? These can be so subtle that even medical experts often overlook them. Fresh studies reveal these behavioral changes can show up years before dementia is identified, quietly hinting that something inside the brain is beginning to fail. The longer these signals are dismissed, the greater the permanent harm can be. Before we dive in, if you want to stay sharp and protect your mind for years to come, pause for a moment, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss a sign that could make all the difference for you or someone you love. Staying connected keeps you ahead. In this video, you'll learn about some of the strangest and most disturbing personality shifts that can signal dementia long before memory issues appear. Spotting them early could give you a crucial advantage before the window to intervene closes. 3 years before her diagnosis, 72-year-old Linda, a retired school principal admired for her poise, began imitating others. It started when her hairdresser copied her way of speaking, changing her tone. Soon, Linda was picking up expressions from her neighbors, and even gestures she noticed on television. At first, it was hardly noticeable, but eventually, it was clear to everyone. A clinical report connected this behavior to early frontotemporal dementia, an illness that affects the brain's frontal lobes, which control personality, social skills, and self-awareness. As this area gets damaged, the brain can't tell itself apart from its surroundings. Without this inner guide, people might unknowingly mirror those around them, copying how they speak, gesture, and even dress. This isn't about seeking attention, nor is it just a harmless phase. It's a breakdown of brain function. Over time, the individual might seem like a blend of the people nearby, but their personal identity, the way they once acted, thought, and felt, starts to fade. Nobody was concerned when Jim, 68, began calling everyone, including his grandkids, Sir and Mom. He had driven trucks for a living and was usually plain-spoken. But soon, he started looking at people differently and became overly formal in daily chats. His family found it strange and unnatural. 2 years after these changes, he learned he had semantic dementia, a disorder that destroys the brain's emotional and social language centers. Research shows that as the temporal lobes worsen, individuals lose their instinct for navigating casual social situations. They have trouble understanding tone, context, and emotional signals, so they often fall back on overly formal speech and scripted politeness as a way to cope. It might sound respectful, but it actually makes everyday interactions feel cold. To relatives, it can seem like the person is being replaced by someone who doesn't know how to connect anymore. Number 3, a strong focus on morality or justice. When she turned 74, Anna became fixated on minor neighborhood regulations. She would call the city over missing recycling bins and scold neighbors about small rule-breaking like overgrown bushes or barking dogs. Her family joked that she'd become a neighborhood watch, but after 4 years, her diagnosis confirmed their worries: early Alzheimer's. A medical report suggests that shrinking parts of the prefrontal cortex, particularly those controlling adaptability, emotional control, and moral judgment, can lead to stubborn thinking, black and white ideas, and obsessive rule-following. What begins as mild concern can quickly become an unyielding obsession with fairness and proper behavior. Researchers say this type of moral rigidity is an early warning sign of cognitive problems. What appears to be overreacting is really the brain's reduced ability to weigh context, which changes how a person judges right and wrong. Number 4. Inappropriate cheerfulness. At her husband's memorial, 76-year-old Margaret smiled throughout the service. She even laughed when someone brought up his favorite fishing cap. Her family was shocked. She didn't seem to realize why. No one had shown up yet, but frontal-temporal dementia had already started influencing her emotional control. Specialists say that harm to the brain's emotional regulation and senses, particularly in the frontal and temporal lobes, can trigger inappropriate happiness or laughter during moments that are supposed to be sad or serious. This isn't intentional or thoughtless behavior. It's the brain sending the wrong emotional signals, unable to align outward reactions with the emotional significance of the event. As these brain regions weaken, a person may lose track of what's emotionally or socially suitable, which can cause reactions that appear odd or even offensive to others. Yet beneath this, the disconnect is a clear neurological failure, a break between inner feelings and outer responses. Are you finding these clinical signs useful? Type 1 if these insights help. Type 0 if you need other topics covered. Your input guides what I explain next. Number 5. Childlike dependence on one person. After his wife died, 79-year-old Tom became attached to his daughter in a way that seemed unusual. He followed her from room to room, called out if she left, and would not talk to anyone else. He waited outside the bathroom or paced the house while she was away. At family events, he stuck by her side and wouldn't interact with anyone else. He appeared nervous, unsettled, and confused without her. A few years later, he was diagnosed with vascular dementia. Studies show that as dementia advances, many older people regress emotionally and latch onto one caregiver, often holding on to them for a sense of comfort and familiarity. It's more than just closeness. It's a deep-rooted psychological survival instinct. As their grasp of the world crumbles, the brain instinctively clings to the only person who still feels reliable and secure. This attachment becomes their anchor in a world that's turning more confusing, where even daily habits and familiar people may fade from memory. The mind, overwhelmed by cognitive turmoil, hunts for stability in the one thing it can still depend on. Number 6. Excessive sentimentality. Helen, 71, started crying at birthday darts. She began collecting childhood toys, spending hours going through photo albums, and talked about her mother as if she'd just met her. She even asked her daughter to help recreate old family meals she hadn't made in years. Her relatives believed she was just getting sentimental, maybe feeling the weight of her years. But 3 years later, she was diagnosed with early Alzheimer's. A medical review found that dementia can amplify emotional reactions to memories, especially as the brain's hippocampus and amygdala begin to break down. These areas control both memory and emotion. So when they fail, people may form strong emotional ties to the past, often focusing on early life or childhood. What once brought gentle memories now causes emotional overflow, often with tears, strong feelings, or longing that seems too intense. It's not just nostalgia, it's a neurological change happening beneath the surface. Number 7. Strange cravings for sweet or odd food. Rodney was 73, had diabetes, and never liked sweets. Then he suddenly began sneaking candy into his room, pouring syrup over meat, and eating peanut butter straight from the jar. He even put jelly in scrambled eggs. His wife thought he was just being difficult, or acting up. But this wasn't stubbornness, it was a signal. In truth, dementia had already started impacting his quadrafrontal cortex, the part of the brain that manages impulse control, choices, and taste preferences. A major study showed that people with the main neurovariant, frontotemporal dementia, often develop strong cravings for sugary foods or odd food combinations, even if they never liked sweets before. This isn't just bad dietary judgment, it's neurological rewiring. When the brain's reward system starts to act up, it takes over reason and health worries, leading to compulsive eating patterns that feel completely out of character. If you're still following, type 1 in the comments and hit the like button. Number 8. Obsession with routine. Marianne, 75, insisted on having breakfast at exactly 7 a.m., not a moment earlier, not a moment later. She watered her plants in the same specific order every day, folded her towels a certain way, and sat in the very same chair every evening to watch the news. If anything broke her sequence, an unexpected visitor, a late meal, she became clearly anxious, sometimes even upset or in tears. This was long before anyone thought of dementia. Her family assumed she was simply becoming rigid in her habits, but as time passed, the behavior intensified. Eventually, the Alzheimer's diagnosis made sense. Scientists have found that early neurodegeneration weakens the brain's ability to adjust or switch between tasks. In response, people rely more on repetition and structure as a way to cope. Predictability becomes their safety net. When the brain starts to lose flexibility, routine acts as a shield, something they can manage in a world that's gradually growing strange. Number 9. Apathy or emotional numbness. Gary had always been lively, laughing at jokes, crying at movies, and voicing opinions at every meal. But by the time he was 73, something was wrong. He seemed emotionally distant. He stopped reacting in family chats, sat quietly during gatherings, and stared blankly when others talked. His wife thought it might be depression, or perhaps just part of getting older. But doctors later explained that Gary was in the early phases of mixed dementia, which includes both Alzheimer's disease and vascular brain injury. Research shows that apathy, a lack of drive, excitement, or emotional response, is one of the most common and most overlooked symptoms of dementia. It's often mistaken for tiredness, stress, or mood swings. In reality, it's the brain losing its ability to connect with the world. The emotional networks that once sparked joy, care, or enthusiasm start to fade. For loved ones, it's one of the hardest changes to watch, because the person remains physically present, but emotionally, they start to drift away. These odd personality shifts may seem mild at first, but together, they send a powerful warning. In many cases, they show up well before memory loss. If you notice these signs in someone you love, don't ignore them. Taking action early can slow down cognitive decline and give families a chance to get ready. These strange personality changes may seem subtle at first, but together, they paint a powerful warning. In many cases, they appear well before memory loss. If you start seeing these changes in someone you care about, don't dismiss them. Early intervention can delay cognitive decline and give families time to prepare. What stood out to you most in this video? We love hearing your thoughts and stories. Drop your questions or experiences below. Your comments inspire us to keep sharing health tips that matter.